Action!
It kind of sounds like you're sneezing when you say it like that. Action.
Bless you.
Yep.
Okay. So should we start?
Yeah. Okay.
Now we can start.
Okay.
Hello! Two grumpy peoples!
1, 2,
3.
Okay.
Two grumpy people and their cat.
No hat this time. Couldn't find one.
Feather boa though. And today we have our top 10 lists, well, top 10 plus, review of reviews, tips, and suggestions. And you started this one off with your silly feather boa there.
Yes, because we've talked about before about the costumes and what you should and shouldn't wear in the park. And today I was reading on, I forget which website it was now, but they had a whole, review or whatever of what what costumes are actually allowed in the park by Disney's rules. And they actually said that adults aren't allowed to wear costumes. Anything that could be classed as a costume is not allowed in the parks, except, of course, for the Halloween and trick-or-treat thing.
No Superman cape?
Or just a cape. They might let you do that. But according to them, they said anything that can be considered a costume.
So no feather boa?
Well, this is not a costume. I wear this every day.
My pet peeve is when you see where they say this is the best kept secret.
Disney's best kept secret, or the best kept secret about Disney, or whatever. And then you read them, and they're almost.
So when I see your best kept secret, the first thing I think, oh, so you're saying this is a section of tips.
The ring in front of Haunted Mansion. It's really not a ring; it's a leftover piece of stanchion.
The Magic Kingdom is actually on the second floor.
Yes. And you can't take the spire off of the castle during a hurricane. It doesn't come off.
And it's on the second floor because there are utilidors underneath.
Disney had an apartment above the fireplace. And there was a firehouse. And there used to be a phone switchboard in Cinderella's castle.
Yes.
These are not secrets, okay? You could read them in any general guidebook. You can find them out.
There are other ones, but those are the top 5.
Like, Fast Pass. Is Fast Pass a secret to anyone anymore?
No.
I don't think so.
Not really. No. So, this is our top 10 list of reviews, tips, and suggestions.
But these are just ones that stood out for one reason or another, either because we disagreed or we agreed, but we want to talk about it more.
The first one that we thought was funny that we read in the article was, they wrote, when it's raining, look for cover, or covered attractions.
It's like, no, I never do that when it rains.
There's liquid coming from the sky. What should I do about that?
Water is coming from the sky. What is this? What do we do? Oh no, we are going to get wet. I know. Let's go inside.
Let's do what everyone does and go inside.
Does anyone need to be told this? Seriously?
Apparently.
When it's raining, go find something to do inside.
Oh, that's what you do.
I was wondering what those, what do you call it? Cover things? Buildings? Is that what they're called?
It stops the wetness from getting on.
I was wondering what those are for. Silly me. But we actually say the opposite, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because if it's raining, everybody tries to go run inside. And that means everything that's outside has no line or very little line.
Yes.
Now, some stuff they close down because, like
if it's a thunderstorm or something, they'll usually close it down.
But if it's just a quick spring rain, a lot of times those things stay open. And if you're going on Splash Mountain, you're going to get wet anyway.
If it's one of those famous Florida 5-minute showers.
Yeah.
Just stay outside.
Now see me, I'm one of those people. I don't care. I'll get soaked. Unless it's a cold rain, and then you kind of want to get wet and then get dry. Yeah, February kind of sucks for that. But most of the time, it's warm even when it's raining, so.
Great way to enjoy it.
If obviously if you're with babies or you're sick or something, or you're in a wheelchair or something, you're probably not going to want to be out in the rain. But if you're, fit or, adults or older teens or whatever, it's a great opportunity to take
If you're the
advantage
average
of some stuff
person,
when you're not.
take advantage.
Well, I wouldn't say average in Disney, because in Disney, the average group has,
a range.
yeah. So you're likely to have at least one person that doesn't want to be out in the rain. Yeah.
So when it's raining, don't look for cover.
Yeah. Just have fun. It's cool.
Try to enjoy it. You're on vacation. This is an interesting tip that we read.
We read this. We were like, wait a minute. It wasn't that way when we were there.
This is even more interesting for us because we did something along the lines that they talked about in this article. Basically, they said when they were going and you get the dining plan, and they said that you cannot just get the dining plan for one or two people. Right. You have to get for everyone in that room,
right.
Which isn't true.
Yeah. It's kind of like they stated it a little bit backwards. The thing is, you cannot get the dining plan for anyone who's not in your room. If they're not registered to your room, you cannot get the dining plan.
Exactly.
And if you, like in our case, we had gotten 2 rooms, and we only wanted it for us and one other person, and we couldn't do it if they were registered as being in that room. So we had to make sure that the way we registered was that all the people that were going to be on the dining plan were in one room, and all the people who were not going to be on the dining plan were in the other room.
But that is not to say that if you are all in one room and only half of you wants the dining plan, that is allowed.
Because we have also done that because we were annual pass holders and the rest of our group were not.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't need the dining plan on one particular trip that we went on. And that's not saying if you're an annual pass holder that you might not want to, but you generally only get the dining plan when you buy the
Magic Your Way packages. Yes.
So we didn't need the dining plan, but my mother was on the Magic Your Way and she got the dining plan, which is definitely a recommended option if you have it.
And for those of you that don't know, if you have an annual pass, you can still get the dining plan as long as you're staying on property because it's based on staying in their resort rooms, not based on your park ticket.
Yeah, which we didn't know.
At the time, we had to figure that out, and so found that out later, and it's a much better deal.
And along with that, if you have a child registered in your room, they have to get the child's
Oh, yes, plan, I forgot all about that one.
Which means that they have to eat the child's menu. Now, that's fine if they're, 6. That's a perfect deal for them.
Yeah, that'll work out
But
fine.
if you have like an older child like we did, and the oldest
10.
age is like 10, and this child was like 8 or 9 or something like that. She was close.
They ate good.
Yeah, so she was expecting to eat pretty much the same food we did, and she had to eat off the child's menu.
So she got like 4 chicken nuggets or a pizza about like this big.
They offer pretty much the same menu at every restaurant for children.
And she was getting tired of that.
So you get real sick of it really fast. And the portions are small. And when you're looking over at the grown-ups eating something really cool and different, what we found out after is the way to get around that.
But then they can eat off the regular
What's going to happen is they're going to have you register in the room as an adult, which means you're going to pay more for the room because you're paying for another adult in the room. But then you get the adult dining plan for them. So it is going to cost you slightly more, but it's still going to be less than it would cost to actually buy the food like we did. We bought several meals out of pocket so that she could eat what we were eating, or we shared our food, and so. Okay, so kind of cleared that up a little bit.
Yeah.
Hopefully
I cleared up some more things. So
bottom line is, if you have any question or any special needs on DPP or
DDP rather.
DDP. If you have any questions about the dining plan, call, because a lot of things you can't do it online. You couldn't make a child into an adult online, but if you called them and explained, they could register the child as an adult, even though.
And you can walk through the whole thing, and they'll talk you through everything. Yeah. And you might even be able to find better deals because they're good at doing that too.
And you can get on the Magic Your Way plans, there's a certain number of days, and if you're doing an odd number of days, it's not going to work. So again, you can call, and then you can get the odd number of days.
So here's another interesting thing that we were reading.
I like this one. It doesn't say they are Germany. They're Germany.
Yes,
Germany. I looked at it. I said Germany. There is a Germany but that's an Epcot.
Yes. The parks. There's people who are really, really, really worried about germs, and for them that's fine. But the way that they phrase this will make you believe that Disney parks are disgusting and or germ infested.
Germ-ridden. Yeah.
Yes, germ-ridden. That's better.
Yeah.
And there were, worried about how many little kids' hands have touched the rails before you, and blah blah blah.
Which is true, but that's true of everything. I mean, you go to a grocery store, you go to a mall, you go to a local park or whatever. There's always kids with bunny noses.
And Disney is about the best at keeping things clean. Anyway,
try really hard. I mean, there are very few. I think I've maybe once or twice gone into a Disney bathroom and seen that it needed servicing, but usually you go in there and there isn't standing water on the floor. There isn't toilet paper littering everything. There isn't overflowing trash cans.
Usually there isn't overflowing toilets either.
There's pretty good evidence that they clean pretty frequently in the park. So they're no dirtier than anywhere else, and they're probably a little cleaner than a lot of places. I would just say you don't need to take any extra caution that you wouldn't at home.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
So if you're kind of a germaphobe or you like using hand sanitizer, knock yourself out, but
the rest of us, not so much.
You don't really need
it. Is the park hopper a bad deal, a bad way to spend your money? Some people think it is.
And I kind of understood, okay, at first I read it and I was like, what? Are they crazy? That's the best idea they ever came up with. But then when I read the rest of what she was saying about it, from her perspective, it made sense because she was saying that she has young children and she's not there that long anyway. So, and they usually leave, go back to the hotel, go to bed or whatever, like 8 o'clock or something. Mm-hmm. So and that kind of makes sense. Okay, look, if you're not going to be spending a 16, 18-hour day in the parks anyway, or you have little kids with you, it's probably not worth it because, especially anyway, children are little ones. It's kind of hard to travel with them, so it tends to take you longer to do everything. So leaving the park, getting on transportation, coming back into another park, that's going to take an awful lot of time, so it kind of is a waster. But then we go back to what we were saying before. If you're like us, 2 adults or an adult and an older children, a family of older kids, bunch of teens, whatever, anybody who doesn't have someone with them who's just really has a difficult time moving or anyone who's going to spend an entire day in the parks, Park Hop is a great deal for.
Yeah, I love it. If nothing else, than from the Animal Kingdom days.
Yeah.
Or if you're gonna go to those parties at night and stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, especially like for Boo to You, because a lot of people go to the other parks and then they come in the evening to attend the Boo to You.
Well, I mean, those are usually separate ticketed events anyway.
Right, but I mean, if you
some people come early.
Yeah, exactly. So you could do like the morning at Epcot and then come in the afternoon to Magic Kingdom because you're going to stay there late.
And it lets you be even more flexible in your reservations for your meals.
That's one of the things we really like about it because, I mean, if we are planning on spending a day at Epcot, but then we want to go to, say, Hollywood Studios to go to the Sci-Fi Dine-In, you can't. It just allows you to be more flexible, to make maximum use of your day and your time. You can just go, and it's great because you can just get on the little water taxis to go between parks, and it's fine. You have the ticket, so you can just do that. Yeah.
You don't have to add it immediately when you're buying your tickets.
Yeah, you can add it on.
You can add it on the day of, even, with no problem. So once you get down there and you start going to the parks, a couple days in, you're like, wait a minute. I could be spending more time at the other parks and not only stuck with the one.
Right. But if you get there and you find, sheesh, we spend most of the whole day in one park. We don't have time to go to another one.
And then you can just save that money you didn't spend on it.
You know what time I would think would be good to use it is like if you have, especially if you have teens or multiple adults like we do, like if one is really wanting to go to Epcot that day and the other one's wanting to go to Magic Kingdom, and you could just go and do your own thing and then meet up for dinner or whatever.
Yes.
So that it's really good for that too. And then where are we going to meet? You're on the cell phone or whatever. I just like the flexibility of it. That's what I really like about it. And it's not that much more to get.
And you don't have to do it for all your tickets either. You can do, if you really wanted to, you could just add it to one of them.
Yes.
On that day.
And that reminds me of, you can also get the Park Hopper and more. right? Where you
water
get
parks and more.
where you get the water
yes,
parks,
another option. Where
or
you get
Disney Quest.
You get both the water parks, Disney Quest, and I believe the putt-putt golf.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a really good feature, especially if you're going to be there for a long. Now, see, we find that if we're only there for a few days, we're not going to have time to use those anymore. We're not going to any water parks.
Yeah, I was going to say, for us personally, we usually have to be there for more than a week.
More than a week, yeah. But if you are going to be there for more than a week, it's well worth the extra, because the extra cost of just going to the water park would be more than the cost that you're paying for the and more feature.
Yeah.
And that's another one, like he was saying, you don't have to get it for every person in your party. Like the last time we went, I didn't add it, but he did, because he goes to Disney Quest.
Yes.
And sometimes to water parks, where I will stay in the hotel or shop.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that can work out as a much better deal. It just all goes with thinking about how you are, what your group is like.
Yeah. And it's kind of hard when you've never gone before sometimes to make that decision. So if you're having a hard time deciding, I would just say, just wait till you get there, and then if you feel you need it, you can add it.
Yep. So speaking of eating at places and stuff,
and
it brings along something I despise, which are the people that say, the second that you are allowed, the 180 days and a minute.
Yeah, the people who are the one site said, set your alarm clock so that you can get up and call right at 7 Eastern time.
When they open up the phone lines, or go on the computer at 6 o'clock Eastern time so that you can go on the reservation website. I hate you people. I'll say it.
It's just how really type A can you be, honestly? They are not going to sell out every reservation for the entire time that you're going to be there in the hours between 7 a.m. and noon.
And for those of you that do that 180 days out, leaves it harder for the rest of us who have to wait a little bit closer to it to book ours.
Yeah.
180 days, that's 4 or 5 months out.
It's actually 6 months.
6 months. 6 months out!
But some people know that far in advance and they plan that far in advance, and I guess that's great for them. But
we've never been able
most
to.
Most people don't.
The most that we've actually had to properly plan is about 30 days.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have to take leave from work, and you have to get babysitters and transportation, and things always go wrong at the last minute, and you have to change up your plans, and these things happen. So the thing is, for me, the thing to keep in mind is you don't have to. Relax. It's okay. There will be plenty of reservations left if you call. You can call the week before. We've done that.
Mm.
In fact, if you couldn't get the reservations you wanted, you can call during your stay. And yes, you could still get reservations. You may not get exactly the one you want. Les Cellier, even at 6 months out, you may not get it. So,
yeah.
Because you have to understand, because it's 180 days out for you doesn't mean it's 180 days out for someone else. They may be within 90 days of their park visit, or 20 days, and they may have got the reservation that you wanted on the day that you wanted it. So, just, but there's only a very few places that you can't. And it's like one of the ones that one person pointed out online, Chef Mickey's on the 4th of July is really popular because that's in the Contemporary, and you can actually see the fireworks. So if you do the Chef Mickey's dinner at the right time, you get to see the fireworks, 4th of July fireworks.
A lot of the places that don't anywhere near the fireworks.
But here's the clue. 4th of July fireworks is just like fireworks. So schedule your Chef Mickey's on the day where there's fireworks, and it's not the 4th of July. Other ones that you might not be able to get, Liberty Tree Tavern on Thanksgiving.
I think we went to the park that day.
What other ones might be hard to get last minute? Les Cellier is always hard to get, period. So.
Anytime during the major holidays, obviously.
Yeah, any holiday meals are going to be hard to get. Cinderella's Royal Table might be hard to get.
Yeah, that one's another big one. The Akershus Princess Dining is a hard one to get.
Yeah, just be flexible, as we say, and you'll do fine. And just call back and be persistent.
This is one that is a useful tip, but it brings up an interesting point. They say to photograph or photocopy or whatever, take a picture of the back of the photo pass, which we all know and love. But then they also say to do it to your park tickets. because they, as many websites have pointed out, that is the only way Disney will be able to retrieve your information should your ticket get lost.
Which isn't really true.
Yeah.
It's only
It
true
is
if you purchase.
To a degree.
Yeah.
If you do not purchase directly from Disney, that will be probably true. Even the Disney store won't necessarily have that information to get to you. But if you purchase through through the Disney Parks website, whatever it is, Disney World, Disneyland,
all your information is online because you filled it out on.
Or of course, if you bought it at the parks themselves, of course,
definitely you bought it there.
And all you gotta do is give them your name, photo ID. They'll look you up.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to. We've done it. We know from experience.
We didn't lose ours, though. That's not what happened. I think they didn't arrive on time to the house. And we had called and we said, we still didn't get on. And they're like, don't worry, just come here and we'll. And they printed us out like these pieces of paper with barcode on it. It's kind of weird until we got a regular ticket.
Yeah, because on the day we couldn't get them.
Yeah, on the very day we showed up. It was like the next day or something.
Yeah.
But they actually are very good about looking your information.
I know what it was.
If you bought it through them. If you bought it through some third-party vendor, then, of course, they don't have, you're not on the same system. They may have your information, but it'd probably take them a while to get it. And in some cases, when they have to replace your ticket, it might take them days or weeks. So if you're already in the park, obviously, you don't want to take days or weeks. Yeah. So it's not a bad idea, but I wouldn't panic either.
Unless you did get them through like AAA or Disney Store.
And if you do like we do, when you order them, do a screenshot of the page, and then you have all that information.
Yeah, save your confirmation numbers and stuff if you get them online, not from Disney.
And they usually, when they mail them to you, they send them to you in a package, and they usually include like some maps and a welcome letter and information about your hotel and stuff. So all that information is there in that envelope. So if you have that envelope, stuffed away in your backpack or whatever, overnight bag, if you do misplace your tickets,
usually you'll have the number on that too.
Yep.
Yeah. So as long as you got that.
Make sure you bring this is very important. Make sure you bring with you the credit card that you bought them with.
Oh yeah, that's a good one because that'll help them look it up too.
Yes, that'll help them look it up. And if they had to charge back or confirm the actual that you paid for it,
yes,
they need that credit card, not just any credit card. So. And a lot of credit cards, even if you bought them from like AAA or something, if you bought it with certain credit cards, they will refund your money if Disney won't.
Oh, yes.
So that's something to keep in mind. Make sure you have the credit card with you that you bought your ticket or paid for your reservations with.
Yes. That'll help. So, continuing. This is one that I personally didn't like either, but I've seen it a few times where people have said, do not use Mears Transport when you're in the Orlando area.
Is that how you spell Mears?
Yes, it is. I looked it up on their website.
That's funny.
Yes. That's exactly how they spell it.
I've heard it said a million times, but it just never occurred to me.
I thought it was
in Mears.
I thought it was acronym at first, but I looked it up and it's not.
That's funny. Okay. Well,
but that's my favorite transport whenever I'm not using Disney transport. They're almost as good as far as I'm concerned, and they're cheap.
Yeah, they're convenient.
You can get luxury service through them as well. I looked that up. Mm-hmm. They do have luxury vans you can get through them as well.
I don't know why you would need luxury van service.
A lot of people get it. A lot of people love to get the luxury car rentals from where they.
Well, yeah, I guess especially if you were there for like special occasion like anniversary or honeymoon or something.
And they'll rent the limo or whatever to take them to the hotel. But most people, they'll say they have problems. A couple people talking about going to Universal and having problems. And, a couple people said, well, just take a cab. It's easier.
It is easier. It's also more expensive.
It's not that much easier.
Well, Mears doesn't come to all the locations then. They come to most of them.
They do run their own service where you can actually get a car that will come out to you too.
Yeah.
They run a shuttle service, a taxi service, they run a bus service, and they run luxury rental service. They got
a lot of people take Mears from the airport and have no. I don't know what they're talking about when they say they're having problems. I don't know what standard of service that they're used to. I've been taking public service all my life, many cabs, buses. It stinks. you know, when you take a bus, you know, they run on a schedule and sometimes they break down. But Mears is as good as anywhere in the world that I've ever taken. So I'm not sure what standard of service people are used to that they are having these problems. And I suspect that what happens is 99% of people take it and it works perfectly. So they don't even think to comment on it because it's a bus or a van and they took it and it worked and whatever. So the ones who take it and have a problem
tend to be the ones that post about it.
They're going to say, oh man, don't do that. It was terrible. I missed my reservation. And I think that's probably 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000.
Actually, that's one person that said they missed their plane reservation because they were, to me, kind of stupid. But they took Mears transport from a Disney resort to MCO, Orlando Airport. Disney runs their shuttle service,
Orlando,
works flawlessly. In fact, with some of them, they work with the airlines even to make sure it's timed perfectly.
Yeah. I know they went out there in fact, one of the 2 times that I took the Magical Express, I didn't actually have reservations on the Magical Express. I wasn't supposed to ride, but I showed up in uniform.
Yes, the military.
Coming directly from, I think that time was Iraq.
It doesn't matter.
Anyway, I came directly from overseas, and I was in uniform, and I was walking toward the front, after getting my luggage to try to call someone to find out who to call to get a ride to the park. The driver saw me and he waves me and he's like, hey, over here. And I'm like, you're going to Disney, right? Because I had the little paper in my hand or whatever. And I said, yeah, but I didn't actually reserve. And he said, don't worry about it. Come on, let's go. We're going now. So he came and got me and said, get on, and I hadn't paid for that.
And then, of course, it's not, you don't pay for that.
Well, but free. I hadn't made I hadn't bought that packet or anything or reserved it or anything, and he scooped me up and he's like, "Yeah, we're going. Come on, get on." So
they got the room,
and I wasn't the only one. He did it to 2 or 3 people. So
it's a big bus. Fits lots of
people. Why not? I guess he's figuring he's going that way anyway.
Yeah, it's free. Makes your trip better.
Yeah.
And then leaving from the resort,
and they play Disney cartoons and songs on it.
Yeah. Get you right in the mood for it.
Sorry.
But. When you're getting ready to leave, tell your resort that, hey, I'm going to be on this flight, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so they'll make sure that you get on.
They can make sure there's a bus that's there on time.
They will tell you, too, that you need to be here this much early, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, they'll get you there a couple hours early even, usually.
And here's the thing that really works great. If you know that you're leaving on a later flight that day, but you need to be there on time, you can take your luggage down way early and check it in. And then go and do, have lunch or whatever you're doing and then come back to catch the bus so that you're not stuck at the last minute trying to rush to get your luggage down to the front. It's usually at the front of the hotel where the buses come.
Yeah, the main.
Depends on which hotel
usually it's in the same location as the check-in for those.
Does Mears come to the Contemporary? Because the Disney buses don't, so.
Yes, they can because they come in the same entrance you would drive in.
Okay.
Yes.
So that explains that.
So any place that you can drive, Mears can come to get you.
Pretty much. And actually, Mears comes some places that
you're not supposed to drive.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, no, because like we were talking about earlier, you can't take a Disney bus directly from park to park. You can take it from park to the hotel or whatever.
Oh yeah, to another resort,
and then to another parks. But you can take Mears directly from park to park if you want to. I don't know why you would, but because there's usually some other transport that's more convenient
and cheap, as in free,
as in the monorail, as in the boats.
You can go to any park, go to the TCC, and then go to any other park yourself. This is one you found.
This one made me laugh, and I was like, "What?"
She was trying to be very helpful. And most of it, she was hitting spot on.
Oh, yeah, she did. It was a really nice article, and she listed several, what do you call it? Not events, not rides. Attractions. Several attractions in all the parks that you may not think would be scary for kids, but can be. And she was hitting them dead on. We agreed with most of them. And I think we've mentioned them in some of the others. We did mention them in a couple of them. But these two kind of struck me as funny because as many times as we've gone.
They said that Mickey's PhilharMagic and even Muppet Vision is a bit scary for young children.
I don't know what children these are.
She pointed out where you get squirted with a little bit of water, and
And you don't even really get squirted with water. It's more like misted.
Yeah. And then it was under the sea bit that they did that.
In the Mickey's PhilharMagic, yeah.
And then there's the dark. She said it was good dark in Mickey's PhilharMagic.
Yeah, there is no scene in Mickey's PhilharMagic that is dark. They darken the house. It's like when you go to a movie theater. So the house lights go down and the theater lights come up. So if that might have been, maybe they were sitting in the back and it felt dark to them.
But
it's never really
if your child can stand a movie,
they don't turn the lights completely out ever. And the Muppet Vision, the only thing I could think of that might be a little scary in the Muppet Vision is the part where the Swedish Chef, not to ruin the end of the show, the Swedish Chef does something that goes boom. Let's put it that way.
He makes it boom boom.
He makes a really loud boom. But other than that, what I would say is if your child is kind of scary, tends to startle easily or whatever.
Child scary?
Yeah, well, that's what some people say it that way. Okay, leave me alone.
Your child is scary.
Shut up and let me finish. I would say if they tend to get scared easily or startled easily,
scared to cat.
Take the 3D glasses off of them. The effects aren't scary if there's no effect. And then they're going to see bubbles floating from the ceiling, and they're going to love that.
Yeah, in the Muppet Vision, there's bubbles.
But I have never, I've gone 6 times now, and you've gone how many times?
7 or 8.
7 or 8. Never, ever seen even one child cry or get scared in either Mickey's PhilharMagic or Muppet Vision 3D.
Unless they were 2.
Well, even at 2, sometimes kids are just crying because they're just, they're tired and they're grumpy and hungry and whatever. If they're under 2, that's a good chance that they're just crying because they just want to go do something else. But I've never seen one act frightened or, anything like that. I guess I'd just say do the same thing there that you would do in any attraction is go through it once by yourself. And then once you've seen what it is, you'll know whether your particular child will likely have a negative reaction to it. Yeah. And the other thing is you can bring something along with you, like bubbles. If you're going to Muppet Vision, bubbles is a great thing to bring because they're going to be bubbles anyway. Or, like a glow stick or something that you can kind of distract them with when it gets to maybe a part that they would otherwise be scared of. But I can't think of any part in either of those shows that actually would scare a child. Now, the other 3D show, which is Bugs Life, what was it called again? Tough to be a Bug. Tough to be a Bug. That one scares a lot of kids because there's lots of different elements that are a little scary.
And it's a bit darker too.
They're Disney level scary. They're not scary, but for little kids it can be. It's dark. You got the giant hopper. You have the spiders.
You have the wasps.
You have stuff that sprays out, bug spray. They have a giant swatter that's coming. It's going to swat you. So yeah, I can see lots of reasons that kids might get scared and Tough to Be a Bug. But one thing that would help with that though is what we always say is go on to like YouTube and look for the ride-throughs. And a lot of people have recorded these whole shows, even the ones they're not supposed to. And you can watch it with your child in advance, and they can see what's going to happen in advance, and they can see that it's just for fun. It's just pretend. There's not really a giant swatter. It's just a trick. And then they probably less likely to be scared. And you can put them on your lap in Tough to Be a Bug, and that way they don't get the full effect of some of the more physical effects.
One that's interesting tip, very, very popular, is telling people to arrive hours before. 1, 2. One time I even saw 3 hours before park opening.
You got no. And you.
At that point, you might as well have packed the lunch and stayed in the campground or something.
Did you bring like lounge chairs and a cooler? You're camping out for the big concert opening. What? Are you going to tailgate or something? No.
Unnecessary.
Personally, I don't like to arrive early at all. Okay, if you're one of those people who wants to be there at rope drop and you want to arrive an hour early, fine, I guess, whatever.
Yep.
Again, I would say that's not necessary. One of the things I like to actually show up like an hour late, because then the mad rush is over, as your bus pulls up, you get off the bus, you walk to the front, you go through the little check in your bags station, and then you walk right through the turnstiles. And there's usually little or no line.
And you're usually on the tail end of the main crowd that just went in.
Yeah, everybody
by the time that huge crowd goes through those turnstiles.
It takes them so long to get through the turnstiles that by the time you're getting there, you're coming in just as the last of them are making it through anyway. And so you're still there for the early morning. You're still going to get on all the rides. You know, it's just so silly to try to be the first one in the park. I don't understand that mindset. It just
I
totally blows
agree
my
with
mind.
being there a few minutes before it opens for like Magic Kingdom because they do that little show.
Right.
Well,
But you don't need to do that every day.
No.
You do that once. You've seen the opening show, and then you can relax for the other ones. Let the people who are being there for their first day go first. Let them, you've got all the energy in the world. Go ahead. The people with the family, and the people who are the type A personalities with their, covered and bedecked in cameras and camelbacks and hat and the backpack and walkie stick, and they're taking, it's like they're at war. We're gonna take this hill, guys. Come on, let's go.
Well, it is a hill.
Let them have it. Let them have the hill. You don't need the hill.
Take the train.
Peace. Just enjoy the trip.
That's what it's supposed to be. A vacation, people.
It's a vacation. It's nothing to accomplish. What are you going to do when you, oh my God, I was there first? They're not going to give you an award or something that you can take home, Oh, you were first, you get to go free. No, it doesn't work that way. So, if you wish. That would be awesome.
First 5 people get to.
Okay, I would be there 6 hours early if they would say that, but they won't.
But then everyone would be there 6 hours early.
And that's true. You'd have people showing up the day before camping out. It would be like a Led Zeppelin concert or something. Yeah, I don't see any point in showing up that early. It's just utterly ridiculous. And then some people say, "Oh, if you show up early, they'll let you in early." No, they won't. No, not happening. Now they used to do it back in the day a little bit. They would do it, but now they don't do it at all.
A couple of minutes.
It's just
maybe.
wasteful. When they say early, it's early according to like the little schedule that they print, but it's not really early because that's the time that they always let people in for the opening show at Magic Kingdom or whatever. You're not getting in early. You're not special.
No.
You may feel special. Everybody at Disney feels special.
That's the point.
It's you and 300 other people.
Very special 300.
Special 300 people. Who all get to wait right there at the front of the park until they actually open the park. So you're not doing anything. You're just standing there waiting for the show. And in the meantime, us lazy people are having our breakfast. We eat.
Oh, and
then we
by the way,
park.
we're eating in the park at one of the breakfast restaurants in the park. And we're in there before you anyway.
Yeah, boy. Not every day, though. That would be really expensive.
At least once.
And I don't want to get up that early most days. I'm lazy. Okay, so that's our thing about showing up an hour early. Not necessary. Yeah, what's the deal now with the Peter Pan's flight? When we first went, nobody talked about this ride. Nobody went to this ride. Because this ride
We
sucks.
didn't go on this ride.
We didn't even go on the ride the first time we went. Didn't we? Might have gone the first time.
The first time we did, yes.
Yeah, the very, very first time, because we tried to do. Actually, we didn't. We had a plan not to do everything, and then we got everything done so quickly that we were able to go back and do the stuff we weren't planning on doing.
That was back when it was not busy.
Yeah, it wasn't. Well, that was right after 9/11. That kind of worked in our favor. But Peter Pan's flight has never been busy, and then all of a sudden, in this last year or two.
It's because over the last year they had the construction going up in Fantasyland. And so just about everything in Fantasyland was gone.
Yeah. So
there was a big wall.
It was one of the few things that you could still do.
Yes.
And so it became more popular. And I think that the popularity will die off again now that Fantasyland proper is open again. And the word gets out. Because Peter Pan's flight. And someone actually on one of the sites I was looking at actually said, to fast pass Peter Pan's flight, and then go on.
They have fast pass for Peter Pan's flight.
Apparently, don't know why you would, but why would you waste your fast pass on that? But
At least it's
They
free.
said Fast Pass Peter Pan's Flight and then go on a less popular ride like Small World.
Huh?
Who are these people? I don't. Okay. It's really lame.
It is.
It's really lame. I mean, I guess if you're a huge fan of Peter Pan, it's not lame.
Sure.
know? And for little ones. You were like 8 the first time you went, right? Around about there. And you didn't like it even.
I'll say yes.
You weren't impressed. So I don't know why it's busy all of a sudden, except unless, like you said, people just were forced to go there because Fantasyland was being refurbished. And so it got like a little boost in the ratings, but now that was done.
Because Dumbo was gone even there for a little while, for a few months there.
That's sad. Well, yeah, I mean, you got to think about that. If there are only 2 or 3 little rides for little kids, then of course.
Small World, Peter Pan's Flight, Winnie the Pooh. That was
I like Winnie the
basically
Pooh
it.
better than Peter Pan's Flight because it did the bouncy thing.
Yes, and it's bad.
I think it's because it's like it's dressed up like it should be a classic Disney ride, be awesome,
Yes.
and so your standard is up here for what it should be, but the performance is down. Whereas with the carousel, it's a carousel, and you don't expect it to be anything but a carousel. You're like, oh, a carousel, isn't it pretty? Let's go on the horsey.
This is one.
It sounds nice the way you wrote it. Share a stroller. That's a good tip, actually.
No, it's a bad tip. What they wrote was, well, because the reason behind this thinking is Disney doesn't give you any kind of rebate or discount or cash back or anything like that if you return your stroller before the end of the day.
They just don't charge you. That's a pretty good.
So, if you're leaving early, hand it to someone who's coming in with kids as they're coming in for the day. Then they don't have to spend the money on the stroller.
There's a few problems with that.
Okay, I'll stick with mine, and you can do yours.
Okay, you do yours first.
This stroller that this family is getting might be nice, but they're not responsible for your stroller that you rented. They aren't going to have to pay the fee if they don't turn it in. So if they don't turn it in, you get stuck with the extra, what is it, $25, $50 charge on your credit card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a fee for not turning it in now, so.
Not to mention the whole thing of they're not responsible for it, so they could do anything they want. If it comes damaged and they charge you even more, there's another thing. So financially they're not responsible. On top of that,
it's just dishonest.
Yes, it is.
There's a fee. There's a reason there's a fee for using it. Other people want to rent them.
Yes.
And if you're handing it off to someone else, you may be depriving someone who is perfectly willing to pay for that service. And if enough of that goes on, guess what happens? They raise the rates or they stop renting them. And this is why we were talking about this. The dishonesty factor is why now you can't. There used to be some restaurants in Disney that had these really awesome topping bars for their hamburgers and stuff.
And such.
And, you could just get everything and put it on as much or as little as you want. It was great. Everybody loved it. And they stopped doing it. And the reason they stopped doing it was because a lot of tip boards were suggesting to people that they make a salad with the fixings from the fixings bar.
Yes.
That's not what the fixings bar is for. You didn't pay for that. And so what happened? Disney was taking a huge hit. They're trying to cut prices everywhere they can. That's why there have been recent raises in the prices of tickets. And so if when they're going through tough times and they're trying to save money, obviously if people are being dishonest and they're losing money, they're going to stop doing it. And so if they start losing money on the strollers because people are not turning them in or because they're cheating and passing them off to other people and so they can't rent them the way they expect to, they're going to stop offering the service, or they're just going to charge more for it, or they're going to find other ways to get that money back somehow. So if you want prices to stay low in the park, the way to do it is not to be dishonest.
And sticking on that exact same topic, which is exactly, I included that one into this one. workarounds for cheaper meals. Now, there is some okay deals.
Yes.
If you want to just buy a large plate and share it with your group, no problems.
Right.
That's fine.
You've paid for it. You can do whatever you want.
Yes. Here's where you start to get in muddy water. The toppings bar, like you talked about. Very bad. Here's another way to get a soda. Buy a large soda, have them not put much ice in it, and then get a cup of ice.
And then share.
So that they could then take some of that soda, pour it in the cup of ice, and have 2 sodas for the price of 1.
Right. And since you get ice for free,
And the
you get
cup
a cup
for free.
of ice for free, you're essentially getting 2 sodas for the price of 1. And that's
Yes.
called dishonesty.
Now,
That's not right.
here's what they said. Here's how they decided to make it okay.
How they're justifying it.
Yes, thank you. How they're trying to justify this. They say only do this at the restaurants that do not have the free refills. I mean, yes, you can't go back and refill the cups over and over again, but you still already done it once, and once is enough.
Their pricing off of
their drinks.
They base their pricing off how much they expect you to get and how many they can sell, and it's a very complicated formula. As anybody in the retail food
Market
business
knows.
can tell you, it's very difficult to set prices on food, and it's very difficult to make
Even more so on drinks.
to actually cover your overhead with food and drinks. If enough people start doing that, guess what? The price of the soda goes up. Yeah. Or they stop giving free ice. And wouldn't that stop? Because a lot of us really count on that free ice. It's very hot in those parks.
There goes a whole bunch of tip boards right there. No more free ice.
A lot of
Take
people
that one off.
about that. So, if you don't want the freebies to go away and want the prices to stay reasonable, be honest. It's not honest to do that. That's not right. And how much is a soda, really? If you're there buying your meal in a Disney restaurant, you can afford a soda. Or bring your drinks from home. You're allowed to do that. So, if you really can't afford a second drink, bring one from home. They have no problem with you doing that.
Exactly.
And that's honest. I don't know what you said.
What
you thought I said.
This is a part of a useful information. I didn't realize this, which is the Magical Express does not service the other airport that's in the Orlando area.
Yeah, that's right. And when I saw SFG, I was like, okay, but
yes. So that first half of it's very useful information. So especially from those of you flying from overseas, you may not land in Orlando International Airport or MCO,
right,
and you'll have to land in SFD. So what a lot of people are saying is that you have to rent a car if you want to get to Disney. You can use Mears, you can use taxi service, you can use public transport of any other means you want.
Having a rental car is a really awesome convenience, no doubt. But if you can't afford one, or you think, if I do that, I probably can't do some other stuff I want to do, there's absolutely no reason that you should need a rental car at any time while you're there. There are buses between every resort, Disney resort, and the parks. But, I think the biggest thing is that you shouldn't feel that you have to.
Yes.
If you want to do it, that's great, but you don't have to.
It's a huge expense for one, maybe 2 days.
It's really expensive with the insurance and the gas and the registration. Then you have to pay to park in the Disney parks. If you're at the resort, they give you a ticket that lets you park in the resort, and then you should get free parking in the parks.
Yes, you do.
Based on that.
If you're staying at the resort,
if you're staying at the resort. But if you're staying off property, you have to pay.
But then you're more likely to want.
Yeah, you're more likely to want a car.
Anyways. But if you're staying on property, there's.
But even staying off property, not all, but most of the hotels anywhere near the parks have some form of courtesy transport to the parks. And again, you can always take public transportation, and you can always get a cab or a van
or something.
So there are lots of ways to get to the park where you don't have to feel like you absolutely have to rent a car, even if you're staying off property. And if you want to go somewhere else in town, you can. The best way to do it is to take the bus to downtown Disney, get off the Disney bus, and there are right there bus stops for the city bus. Just make sure you go to the right ones, because most of those bus stops are designated for Disney buses. You have to make sure you're looking the ones that are close to the road, and they'll say that they're for Orlando area transportation.
So this is one, and there's actually 2 that are very similar to this note.
And you found them both times. I haven't found this one.
This is one where they're saying, they're not going to close the lines and attractions right when the park does. So get in line at even up to 8:59, even if they close the park at 9. 1 minute before is fine. No. There's more than one reason. One reason is they usually do actually cut the line off well before that, so that there's people getting off the attraction at 8:59.
They'll bring the little cattle thing in.
Yeah, they'll start cutting it off. They'll turn off the little sign.
Yeah.
They'll turn off,
When you see the little sign
stuff.
over it, the little light up sign that says, wait time, blah, blah, and it goes off, I'm trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
Wait time is 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
24 hours.
Come on. Don't do that. So. And you got to think that those people, they are scheduled to work certain hours. They expect to get off at those hours. And when you are being a pain and you're getting in line 1 minute before closing, now you're keeping them on the job. They have families. They want to go home. It's just one more ride. If you
work in a public environment such as at a store, retail location, or anything like that where you work with people, how would you feel if you were there and someone came in the door 2 minutes before closing and decided to spend an hour shopping? Or whatever. Think about it.
And on those rides, they can't leave until every last person is completely off. And
they shut everything down and everything else.
And the other thing is you have to remember, Disney does a lot during the park close hours. They never actually close Disney World. So in order for them to do all the maintenance, all the cleaning, all the restocking, everything, they do it between those hours when they're closed. So the minute the visitors are out of the park, they're already on it, cleaning and restocking and doing maintenance work. So they really need you to be gone so they can do that.
As soon as possible.
So it's really not right to do that. And also it's not really that effective.
And sticking around after park closing is continuing.
Yeah, same idea.
And sticking around because they're saying shops are not shutting around immediately. You can spend up to 2 hours, one person said, in the shops on Main Street.
They do keep them open as you're leaving.
Yeah,
that's the ideal.
Because they're not going to kick you out.
Yeah. The ideal is as you're leaving, you could stop and get that last thing that you wanted to get as you're leaving, right?
The only reason they've ever been open that late is because there was that many people still in it.
Still in it, yeah.
Because you don't know to get out.
And they're happy to take your money, but they really want to close. And you'll notice them turning lights off, putting little dust covers over things, closing doors, shutting down one or more of the registers. And that's their kind of subtle way of saying, okay, it's time to go. You need to head on out. And they will actually close. Some of the stores do close. They close them sort of sequentially as people move closer to the front of the park. The ones further in the back, you'll see, are starting to close. And so the last ones closed tend to be those little hat stands and things right at the very front of the park. Yeah, to the last ones that anyone goes to. So, can you still shop right up to the last one? Sure, you can. If you saw something earlier and you wanted to wait to get it until the end, you could do that, and they do stay open for that. But they're not really open for you to shop, and they're certainly not open 2 hours. Wow, really? Look, if they say the park is closed, what do you think that means? It means closed.
I love this one person posted. Even though there is a posted closing time, that does not mean that's when the park closes.
Yeah, that's what it means.
What it's for.
Really?
So, yes.
If you read the official Disney guides, and there's a couple of them, Burn Bombs and a couple other ones, they'll say those stores stay open as they're closing, but park closure is park closing time.
Yes.
Why would they post a park closing time, but that's not really our closing time? Who does that?
Filter out.
Nobody does that.
Just to trick some of you. That's what it is.
It doesn't make any sense. We
covered them all. Well, we covered them all, and so this is just one of the sites that we love going. 2 of the sites that we love going to.
Allears.net is one of the biggest ones. Mouse Savers. Disney Divas was one, and there was one that I was just looking at earlier. What's it called now? WDW tips.com.
Yeah, that's
a whole bunch of really good tips.
And also, I found another one that I was reading on which is couponing at Disney or in Disney.
Okay. Yeah.
That was another great one. That we got a lot of good tips from, And so, and also the great thing to do is just look on the Disney Parks website.
Yeah, it always amazes me some of the questions that people write into some of the tip boards and things that are so easily answered if you just go onto the Go Disney or DisneyGo.com. Go to the Disney dining site. They list every restaurant. They list the hours. You can click on it and see their full menu.
You know what they even did?
Everything.
Because of these tip sites, they started their own. The Disney Moms Panel.
Yes.
It's a great site. It's a great source. They sit there and they will literally sit there and answer any and all questions.
Yeah.
And I do mean any, even ones that are a bit silly.
It's a really easy site to use. Go there. Check it out. It's the official information. It's the latest information. Yeah, they don't answer a lot of the questions that we have that are, maybe Disney doesn't want to answer them. So that's when you go to the forums. How many was that? 15? 15 tip reviews?
That was 15 review of reviews, tips, and suggestions.
From various websites all over the net.
Yes.
Check back with us later when we talk about something.
Possibly something else.
Maybe something better.